Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is still doing well today. I have a bonus upload that I want to share with you. Before we get into it, a couple links. As you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, and my merch store to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Those links are in the description below. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1, 2, and 3, the audiobook versions. Written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeffrey Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes. The links to those are also in the description as well. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's get on with today's bonus. Shall we? So, earlier today, I did an interview with a gentleman from Australia. I'm going to put that upload out tomorrow. It is fantastic. Normally, I am either recording or researching. I took a break for a little bit, but then something popped into my head to look up something different, type in some different keywords about the Jimtown Road, Tony Aaron's, Amber Miller case, and our friend, the pink tutu wearing Sheriff Armando. What I found is very troubling and just leads me into believing that there is definitely a cover-up. I don't know if it's as high as the federal level yet, or even state, but I know it's county at least, and they are being very devious about it. Now, as everyone knows, Tony Aarons was found on April 1st with lacerations all over his body, arm, leg partially devoured. He was just partially devoured. He's torn apart. Amber Miller was found on the 12th of July. She was found with dogs licking her wounds by a Good Samaritan. These dogs did not attack that Good Samaritan. She was also partially devoured, alive, though. Torn pretty much limb from limb. Very, very horrendous attack. And she died a couple days later from her wounds. Now, I had a subscriber from that area come on and talk about taking a motorcycle ride down to Jimtown Road and talking to a homeless gentleman. Talking about the guy's last words was, "Be careful when you leave on your bike. That thing may come out of the woods and knock you off your bike and take you into the woods." That left him thinking about this poor homeless guy, and the other homeless people in that area have to live with whatever creature he was talking about. You and I know what creature we're talking about. We're talking about a Dogman. But then the county wants to blame Charles Owensby, their scapegoat. The guy is a real scumbag. He's not a shining example of citizenship in America. But needless to say, I don't believe he is responsible for these attacks. First, how can he be? Second, his dogs don't fit what the sheriff, Fuentes, Armando, you pink tutu wearing little man, made it out. Someone said cane corsos. There's no cane corsos involved. Then they arrested Owensby on a pot charge. That's all they could get. They busted in his door, SWAT team. SWAT team busted his door down with a warrant, but we don't know what that warrant was for. They won't tell us that. And then his ex-wife, 4 miles down the road, looking for DNA evidence, yada, yada, yada. But because he had some weed on him, they took him and put him in jail. Not for very long, though, but then some crazy stuff happens. This is a press release from Sheriff Armando Fuentes, my man. On April 1st, 2021, the Cocke County Sheriff's Office received a 911 call concerning a male individual lying unresponsive on Jimtown Road who had possibly been hit by a car. Upon arrival, Tony Aarons was found unresponsive with severe injuries, which investigators were not able to determine the cause of the injuries. There was no information and no apparent evidence of dogs being involved at the time. Investigators did see injuries that could have been consistent with some sort of animal in Aaron's case, but rely on forensics and other special investigators to determine what caused the injuries. This investigation began with very little evidence and no witness. The 911 caller was identified as Charles Owensby, who resides on Jimtown Road. Neighbors and other persons who lived near the scene were interviewed. Forensic evidence was gathered at the scene, and an autopsy was requested by the sheriff's office. On July 12, 2021, the Newport Medical Center contacted the CCSO concerning an injured female that arrived at the hospital with significant injuries. Investigators were called to the hospital and began the investigation. The victim, Amber Miller, was uncooperative with investigators. Investigators, once again, had little evidence to act upon, but eventually was able to determine Miller sustained injuries on or near the property of Charles Owensby. Unfortunately, Miller passed away, and an autopsy was requested to determine the cause of death. We are currently waiting on forensic report and specialists to determine what caused the injuries. As we continued the investigation in both cases, we do have evidence that at the time of the death of Tony Aarons, the use of methamphetamine was a contributing factor in the case. Breaks. I will let you know when I continue with Dick Boy's bullshit press release. So Amber Miller is uncooperative. This poor girl was fucking torn apart, man. I'm surprised she could barely talk. I'm guessing she couldn't. She was probably in shock. And then, I've said it a million times before, hey, let's blame him because he had meth in his system. Okay, he did methamphetamine. That does not make him a good person. But is that a contributing factor in him getting torn apart by a wild animal or a dogman? Did the dogman want his meth? I doubt it. Back to the press release. The location of Aaron's incident likely occurred next to the roadway, a short distance from Charles Owensby's residence. And we are still working to determine what caused the injuries to Tony Aarons. We will release the cause of death at a later date upon completion of the ongoing investigation. On July 19th, 2021, a search warrant was served on the property of Charles Owensby, and a forensic team from the TBI collected and gathered evidence from the residence and property. After locating Charles Owensby a few days later, he was interviewed along with several other people and a witness, in which the CCSD was able to locate. Once again, several persons were interviewed in hopes to gather more evidence. On July 28th, 2021, at 6 a.m., officers with the CCSD utilized a SWAT team to execute a search warrant at the residence of Charles Owensby's ex-wife, Cecilia McCarter, in the Edwina community. Owensby was arrested at the scene for possession of marijuana, Scheduled 6, and an aggressive dog that was taken into custody. Investigators collected DNA from 2 other dogs at the location that belonged to other persons in 2 separate residences on the property. All animals seized was done in accordance of probable cause in Tennessee law. Officers located a shallow grave at the property containing a deceased dog, and DNA was collected. Officers took possession of a vehicle owned by Owensby for forensic processing. At this time, this case heavily relies on forensic science. At this time, we do not have any evidence that indicates that there is a wild animal, domestic animal, or pack of animals that is frequenting the Jimtown area, attacking people. Break again. We don't have any evidence, but you've got 2 people torn up. There's no evidence that there's wild animals, domestic animals, or a pack of animals attacking. Well, it sounds like there's evidence of a Dogman, but probably not the other 3 that Mr. Armando mentions. We, however, are asking people to be cautious in the area as we wait on forensic reports that take a month or so. We are asking people to please contact us with any information concerning either of these cases, or if they have any incidences involving dogs owned by Owensby that have not been reported. Boom, right there, break. Once again, pinpointing and falsely labeling him as a contributing factor. Hey, did you have an attack with the dog? Was it Charles Owensby? Oh, it was? Okay. You're just giving this guy a bad rap. He already has one that he created himself. But now you're creating another one. Why? Because you're a big asshole liar. Freaking jerk. Once we conclude a thorough investigation, have all evidence, all witnesses, and anything that pertains to these cases, we will present the facts to a grand jury for criminal indictment against any person involved in this case. Prematurely charging any individual without all the facts may result into a dismissal of the case, and justice for these victims will not be served. Our department was working numerous hours on these cases, processed evidence, requested the assistance of outside agencies, executed 2 search warrants, performed surveillance, and has worked to protect the integrity of all evidence. We have also worked hard to keep potential suspects from knowing what we know. That is why we aren't able to release specific details to the family, community, and media. I am very proud of all the work all the members of our Criminal Investigation Division, Patrol Division, Narcotic Division, and Administration who assisted in 2 extremely difficult cases. There will be no more information released in these cases until the criminal indictment is occurred and served. I am not doing an interview or answering any more questions at this time. Thank you. Sheriff Pink Tutu wearing Armando Fuentes, Cocke County Sheriff's Office. So you can see just the bunch of bullshit that is. But check this out. This is rather interesting. Cocke County Sheriff Armando Fuentes said he is waiting on some crucial evidence in the case of 2 deadly animal attacks along Jimtown Road. Tony Aaron's body was found April on Jimtown Road. Amber Miller was found on the same road after an attack last month. Both were found near Charles Owensby's home. Owensby has been named a person of interest in both cases. One of the dogs at Owensby's ex-wife property was seized by the sheriff's office, and the sheriff said they have an order to euthanize the dog. The hearing is set on August 26th. The sheriff said he misspoke when he told one of our reporters earlier that the dog had already been put down. Sheriff Armando said they have collected DNA evidence from Owensby's dog inside Owensby's home and his property. Fuentes said they don't know if Miller was attacked in or out of the home. Miller was found by some men driving by. Steve Mays, one of the men that found Amber Miller, told WVLT News she was trying to hold herself up against a tree, yelling for help, and was naked with cuts all over her body. The sheriff is still looking for neighbors and other witnesses who knew Owensby and his dogs to talk about their behavior. Wow. So you misspoke or lied about the dog getting euthanized because when Amber Miller first was found, that was the news. Dog euthanized. One thing that strikes me odd is this reference here, the point made. Steve Mays, the one that found Miller, said she was trying to lean against a tree, yelling for help, and was naked. Why wasn't this in any of these other articles that we've read or I have shared? That's strange. That's very strange. Also, on top of, if you guys don't remember, or those of you who have been following this with me, on top of the Tony Aarons being blamed for methamphetamine, Miss Miller was blamed for also being an addict and a child abuser, and her dad was a sheriff and or policeman and was shot on duty, and that fucked her head up. This is what all from Armando, not from me. I didn't say it like that. Armando did, because he's an asshole. Now, this is where shit gets real weird, okay? This is 2 days ago. Owensby was arrested for a marijuana charge. Very small amount, okay? Newport, Charles Owensby is back in jail after he allegedly filed a false report with the Cocke County Sheriff's Office. Reports show that deputy responded to 522 Carnation Way at 9:10 a.m. on Monday, September 20th. Owensby told deputies that someone shot through his camper at 2:30 in the morning that morning. The report states that deputies found what appeared to be a bullet hole that went through the camper on the left side that faces Jimtown Road. Owensby went on to say that a white 2010 to 2016 model Chevy pickup truck had driven down the road when he heard the shot. Deputies could not find the round as it did not lodge in the camper. During the course of the investigation, the CCSO, Criminal Investigation Division, found that the alleged bullet holes were already there based on prior inspection of the camper. Owensby was charged with filing a false report and stating that a shooting had occurred when it clearly had not, according to the report. Well, clearly it had because there's fucking bullet holes in the dude's trailer. But no shooting happened. This is what they're doing. They want to keep this guy in jail. They want to pin this on him so they can close the case, and this case can be closed. No Dogman. It was Owensby and his aggressive dogs, which have not been found. Owensby was taken into custody on Wednesday, September 22nd, after he served with an active warrant and failure to appear in Cocke County General Sessions Court. The 69-year-old Owensby was initially arrested in late August after the sheriff's office served a search warrant in the residence in relation to 2 fatal animal attacks. Owensby was taken into custody for possession of marijuana, Schedule 6. An aggressive dog was also taken into custody. Investigators collected DNA from 2 other dogs that belonged to individuals in separate residences on the property. New DNA information on the attacks has been released as CCSO awaits forensic reports from DNA samples. Okay, 4 miles away from Carnation Way and Jimtown Road, where Owensby resides, the search warrant in the Edwina County, or community, excuse me, that's 4 miles. So why are they going to take the dogs that were not Owensby's or his wife's, but live in other residents on that property? Did all the dogs just run together in packs? Did the dead dog come out of the ground and roam around? This is crazy. Owensby is a bad dude by his own fault. But what these guys are doing with this fucking idiot, Fuentes, Armando pink tutu wearing Fuentes, is doing is making a mockery out of this. And that's why I keep mentioning the pink tutu, because you're making a mockery out of this. You can be honest and say, listen, we don't know what it is. We're just pointing fingers at Owens because we have nothing else to point it to. There's no dogs. There's no this. There's no that. Owensby was the one that called 911. Why the fuck would he call 911 on himself? If Does that make any sense? And I'm sorry for cursing. No, I'm not sorry for cursing because I'm pissed at this. This is just bothersome. This is terribly annoying, and my phone just beeped. I'm sorry about that. I will say I'm sorry about that. But this needs to end. It needs to get cleared up. They're treating these poor victims' families. If they don't want to, if they don't want to tell the truth, close the case quietly. Close it quietly. Stop just destroying people's credibility and who they were before they died. Because Tony Aarons and Amber Miller were victims. Does it matter what they did beforehand? No. Tony Aarons was last heard from at 9:30. He was found at 12:30, roughly 3 hours later. But because he had methamphetamine in his system, that was the contributing factor to his death. He was peddling methamphetamine to the Dogman, and the Dogman did not like the price, so the Dogman ripped him up. Amber Miller, this poor girl, lost her dad, single mom, trying to do her best, and they fucking run her through the mud too. Shame on you. Shame on you, Sheriff Armando Fuentes. Shame on Cocke County Sheriff's Department. Shame on anybody involved in this. Just shame on you. All right, guys, that's all I have. This is new. The end here is new. The statements, this whole thing is new news. And it's baffling. It's fucking baffling. Anyway, be kind to each other because it seems like no one else is going to be kind to us. So we as a community can be kind to each other. With that, I want to bid you farewell.